Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rinima Borah and this is another episode of my solo podcast, Shh, where I share real, unfiltered stories from my life. So if you've been listening so far, you already know that we have been walking through my journey year by year, right? Through the heartbreaks, the lessons, the little victories, and the absolute chaos. Last time I left you at a point where I had just lost my dad and I was 29, and that pain, that loss, it cracked something open in me. And today we pick up from there because what happens next is what I would call the turning point in my life. The ages between 30 to 32 were life-changing for me. This is when I stopped being the girl who waited for someone to validate her and slowly, steadily began becoming the woman who saw herself, who chose herself. And I still remember those days after that passed. I wasn't just grieving his death, I was still trying to process how suddenly life had changed. And then, as if the universe thought, oh, let's see how much more she can take. I caught my last or maybe my third boyfriend cheating on me, and that was it, the last straw. He was out of the house the same day, and I didn't even cry that night. I remember I was too tired, too numb, and that's how I started living alone for the first time in my life. No dad. Mom, of course, wasn't with me. No man. Just me, alone in my apartment in Bangalore, surrounded by unpaid EMIs, leftover memories, and the echo of my own silence. And it wasn't easy. I had debts piling up, like real debts, not the metaphorical emotional kind. Actual money I owed to people, to banks, to places. But instead of running away like I might have in my 20s, I sat down with a pen and a paper and I made a list of everyone that I owed money to. I called every single person, and I told them openly, please give me some time, but I will pay each one of you, every penny I took. And I meant it. And that's when something in me shifted. You see, till then I had never really been single. I didn't know how to be single. I went from one relationship to the next like it was a life support system. But now, for the first time, I was discovering who I was without a man. I laughed alone, I cried alone, I started going out with my friends again, I danced without guilt, I ate Maggie at 2 a.m. sometimes while watching trashy rom-coms in my pajamas. I learned how to live with myself. And while all this was happening, something else started bubbling up in me, creativity, which I always loved, fashion, makeup. So I started putting together fashion lookbooks with local makeup artists who I found on Instagram. So we would shoot every weekend, style clothes, do makeup, create characters. I wasn't earning from it, but it felt like medicine for my soul at that time. Because after years of putting everyone else first, boyfriends, family, office deadlines, I was finally creating for me. I still remember some of those first shoots, how amateur they were, but how alive I felt as a woman. No glam squad, no cinematographers, no filters, just me and a local MUA trying to build something cool. And she was the one who first saw something in me, not even me, not just the makeup and styling bit, but the fire, the confidence that had started to slowly show up in my photos. And it was her, I remember, who suggested I join this shoot, this massive Bangalore campaign that was being curated by Sarah, another amazing makeup artist based out of Dubai now, which was focused on colorism and representation. I loved the idea. But the shoot wasn't immediate. It was still in planning stages. But I was shocked that they asked me to model. I was like, me? Model? Because I still didn't see myself as pretty, you see. I mean, come on, I had stretch marks, big thighs, a non-flat stomach. I didn't think I was model material, but they saw something in me and maybe something I was just starting to see too. Anyway, I said yes, like I jumped at it. And then came another twist. Random doors open up through people you barely know. A friend of mine called Gabby introduced me to another friend called Alan. And then Alan introduced me to this incredible woman named Aliza, full name Aliza Khan. Now, if you are into Indian television and you follow a lot of Hindi serials like CID and other stuff, you've probably seen her on screen. I'm sure you've seen her on screen. She's a full-blown actress. Amazing one, stunning, fierce, gorgeous, super connected in the Bombay industry, but also a very real woman. And we hit it off instantly in this house party in Bangalore. I was shocked, honestly. Here I was, a nobody, just trying to find my footing. And someone like her, who was already an established actress, was making friends with me. And we immediately made travel plans. We decided a full-blown girls' trip to Thailand, my first international trip. Aliza had been there multiple times, so I felt like I was in safe hands. Because for me, like I said, it was my first ever international trip. Passport was ready, bags were packed. I had just about 1 lakh in my account, but I told myself, Rinima, you have lived your whole life for others. This time, live a little for yourself. And that's how we landed in Phuket in December 2019 for New Year's Eve. Oh, I remember the moment I got off that flight, Not because it was hot or sweaty or chaotic, but because something shifted inside me. And there's something magical about stepping into a place where nobody knows you. No labels, no baggage, no exes, no past, just you. As you are. And Thailand gave me that freedom. We stayed at this hostel called Borah, this vibrant, chaotic, beautiful place full of Westerners and travelers from all over the world. Party reps dancing on tables, strangers becoming friends, endless stories being exchanged over Chang beers and pad thais, and I just remember thinking, what the hell have I been doing with my life? Why hadn't I come here before? And Aliza, my friend, my mentor, my guide at that time, had already been to Thailand a few times, and she was leading the way. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. Keep doing what you were doing. We were traveling on a super tight budget, so we were staying in a hostel, and the best decision ever. They're better than 7 stars, I'll tell you that. And I had just about, like I said, very less money for the entire trip, 3 weeks, flight tickets, stay, food, everything in 1 lakh. So the hostel was not very expensive. It was not a fancy resort, but that's how I ended up there. The party hostel, like I call it in Phuket. And oh my God, I can't press enough. What a vibe. No Indian crowd, thank God, don't come for me. Aliza was very clear, she's like, we are here to have fun, not to babysit misogynists and who do not know how to behave when they see a woman in a bikini, Rinima, so let's just be safe and stay away from Indians. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And that first night at the hostel, it was wild, bro. Strip poker, people dancing half naked, not fully naked actually, but all of it felt so natural and so non-creepy, The kind of freedom I never thought existed. And here is what shocked me. Men were calling me hot. American men, Canadian, Australian, Germans. I'm like, what? What? Are you serious? Like guys from all over the world finding me hot? I was like, wait, hold on. Let me process this. You think I'm hot. Do you know where I come from? Like, have you seen Megan Fox, Priyanka Chopra? Those are hot women. I'm from a village in Assam. I have got stretch marks. My thighs are bigger than other women. I'm not toned. I don't have a flat stomach. My hair is frizzy. And yet here I was being called beautiful. Because, for someone like me who has spent 16 years being called fat and ugly and insecure and psycho and whatever, especially by all the men I dated, this was surreal, My first boyfriend started the narrative, honestly. I was 18. I didn't even know what the gym was back then. I was too young. I just came to Bangalore. And I just started working. So I was still figuring life out, doing college at the same time, but he kept calling me fat. I was curvy, maybe a lot of baby fat. Then came the second one. He saw my stretch marks in my lower body and he told me, oh my God, that's the ugliest part in your body. And I still remember the disgust in his eyes and voice, that, oh man, that stung. The third one, the biggest asshole, who mentally fucked me up, on a different level. Called me names, made me feel like a burden, always comparing me to other women, gazing and constantly eyeing at others. And the worst part, I believed them all. I believed them. Their words were like set in stone for me. I thought I wasn't enough, I didn't know at that time that even Shakira got cheated on, or Angelina Jolie or Jennifer Lopez. All the gorgeous women. I didn't know that stunning women got betrayed too. Because I thought if I were hot enough or beautiful enough or maybe fit enough, maybe they wouldn't have done what they did to me, But in Phuket, that belief broke. I was seen, desired, celebrated, and not just for how I looked, but because I was me, the bubbly, fun-loving, ambitious, kind woman that I am, the woman with grit, with a lot of sass and style. I danced, I sang karaoke, I swam, I played pool, I drank a little. I felt safe wearing a bikini and walking around. I was not being stared at like a piece of meat. I was just existing. And I remember I met so many fun guys, but specifically Alex from London. No hanky-panky. I didn't hook up with him, don't worry. I mean, even if I did, not a problem, but I didn't. He's still a friend, you know. He now sells luxury homes in Dubai. What a sweetheart. I met people from all over the world. Alicia, the manager, lovely lady. People who didn't care where I come from or what caste I was or how light my skin was or how many exes I have had. They just vibed with me, you know. And the best part, I discovered something I never knew. People didn't think I was Indian. Apparently, I look Latina. That's the first time I heard about it. They kept asking me, are you South American Latina or European? And I guess that's because I'm from Northeast India and our ethnicity is ambiguous to the rest of the world due to lack of exposure. Plus, I was raised in Bangalore and English is like my first language. So when I opened my mouth, I didn't sound typical Indian to them. Again, stereotypes, right? But the whole experience, the reason I'm narrating this is because this whole experience to me was awakening. Thailand made me feel alive again, and I feel that till today. And leaving Thailand was hard because I found a version of myself that I wasn't ready to let go of, you know, brown, tanned, braided, and free. But life doesn't pause for your healing, does it? The day after I landed back in Bangalore, I showed up for that colorism shoot. Remember, I had committed 2 weeks ago. I had baby pink and white braids I got done in Thailand. I looked so cute. Long, thick, soft. I was already wheatish. I am a wheatish person in complexion, but with the Phuket tan, I was a full blonde bronze, no filter. So I stepped into the shoot venue, a huge studio with a lot of photographers and 55 models. And I remember the looks, you know. So many of them, stunning women from all across the country, different skin shades. But something about how I walked in, maybe the braids, maybe the tan, or maybe just the after Phuket energy turned heads in a good way. But not all of them were pleased, of course. You can't please the world, and that's all right. I remember the main organizer, Sarah, the makeup artist who had organized the whole campaign. She was like, Rinima, what the hell? You were supposed to be in frame 4 and now your shade is changed. So I have to put you in like a different set of models, frame 7. We have done the grid already and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, sorry. I mean, she wasn't angry, just mildly pissed because the whole color chart for the shoot was made in advance. And now thanks to Phuket and all the bikini tans, I had moved 2 shades over. But honestly, that shoot was everything. It taught me how you celebrate women of all shapes, size, color, experiences, background, you know. It wasn't about taking pictures. It was the first time I felt what it meant to be in an inclusive world, what it meant to be in the company of secure, confident women. The energy was so different. There was no competition, no passive-aggressive comments, just women hyping up women. And that's where I also met Vaidurya, a beautiful brown skin, sharp features, that soft voice. She walked up to me and said, girl, I love your color. And I'm like, you look stunning yourself, Vaidurya. She's this accomplished makeup artist. I didn't know then that she would become my wedding planner years later. I will save that story, but that's how I met her. Life is funny like that. Sarah, the same woman who had earlier been irritated because of my tan change, she's like, Rini, I think I have a crush on you. And I'm like, what? I remember just blushing and saying, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, it just felt so good, your life at this moment. Like some awkward schoolgirl, you know. It really did feel good. I'm back. I'm like, transition back there. I didn't need the validation, I'll tell you that. I was just happy to be surrounded by women who weren't afraid to give it. The compliments, you know, and the shoot really taught me something essential, which I live up to till this day. You become who you surround yourself with. So I began being very intentional about the energy I kept around me. I stopped giving time to people who drained me. I started listening to my gut, my body, my intuition. I started sensing energies, and it started showing up in my work, in my relationships, in how I walked into a room. And that campaign was the real beginning of my modeling journey. No, I didn't become a supermodel later, but whatever little modeling I did, that was the beginning. It wasn't a big budget gig, but it gave me visibility. Soon after, I met Jessica and Krishna, a makeup artist and a photographer duo. I am a fan forever. They're now in New York, and sky is the limit for them. Through the same shoot circuit, actually. And then we did a headshot series together. It's one of my favorite shots of the day. It became my first real portfolio. And then came Taylor & Circus, a brand that celebrated body positivity, inclusivity, and bold choices. I shot their underwear campaign. I don't know if I'm still on their website, but I'll put some pictures here. And even though I had never done something like that before, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared of my stretch marks or that I wasn't fit. I just felt ready and proud of however I was. I started making some money. They also paid me money for the shoots, so thank you for all the side money. Because Dell was paying me great, but I could always do more with more money, you know. And my job at Dell was still running strong. So during the day, I was doing corporate decks and conference calls. And on weekends, I was shooting underwear ads and headshots. It was always a double life for me, but a thrilling one. And then came Bombay. So through Aliza again, I was introduced to this powerhouse of a woman named Geet. She's a one-woman army who ran a modeling agency. Oh, her story, I'll tell you another day, another small town girl who made it big. So her modeling agency specialized in catalog shoots, you know? You know those shoots where you wear 200 t-shirts in a span of 2 or 3 hours and they pay you by the t-shirt. And yeah, no breaks, just one top after the other, fast-paced, sweat-soaked, but I loved it because I was earning money. I remember once doing around, 250 t-shirts in just a few hours, and I think I was paid about 50 rupees or 100 rupees per top. I keep forgetting the exact number. It was quite a few years ago. And I was like, okay, I can work with this. Plus, I got to shoot with some seriously hot international models from Europe, boys who looked like they had walked out of Zara billboards. So I'm like, okay, let's keep going. That was fun, I won't lie. I was living with Geet in Bombay. I wasn't staying in a hotel. She had booked my tickets, arranged to stay. And no, I wasn't making crazy money, but I was getting exposure, and that was just, I felt the beginning of a new career for me, you know, the kind of exposure I didn't even know I needed. I was getting street smart, industry smart, and emotionally sharp. I started going out more. Aliza would take me to these Bombay parties, industry hangouts, rooftop lounges. I was never a drinker. So I mostly sipped on soda and danced all night because music was like my drug. And I was networking like a mad woman though. I was building a name, a face, and a presence for myself. And then came the dream, going back to Thailand. Alicia, who was the hostel manager at Bodega when I stayed there, had told us that we could work as party reps, both Aliza and I, because she loved our personalities. Basically, you host events, plan pub crawls, you know, vibe with the guest. And I'm like, dude, this sounds perfect. I could work remotely for Dell and hustle in Thailand by night. Aliza was in too. So it was all planned, you know, that by March, we're going to take off. But again, life and universe intervened. I had to quickly fly home from Bombay for my dad's first death anniversary because as per our Hindu rituals, since my sister and I had done his cremation, we needed to be there for the first year death anniversary. So I flew out from Bombay at the time from Geet's place to Assam. I wasn't even living in Bangalore. And I was supposed to fly to Phuket right after a week. And that exact date, India shut down. Forget India, the world shut down because the first COVID lockdown began and the world stopped. Thailand shut, India shut, flights canceled, hostels closed, my dreams postponed indefinitely. And I got stuck in Assam for almost 3 months. Dude, those 3 months were complex, you know. Mom and I like always locked horns a lot. She didn't agree with how I had handled money or my finance, debts, or life after that, traveling, drinking. And I don't blame her entirely, you know, she was grieving too. But it hurt because, as always, I felt unseen in my own home. All I wanted was for her to understand that I had done my best to keep this family going, to keep dad alive. And that's what I was trying. That's what the debts are for. But something beautiful happened during those 3 months. Ronit, my nephew, my boy today, he was 7, I think, at the time. And we bonded like never before. Each day, or rather each night, he would sleep with me and I introduced him to Star Wars, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. I taught him everything I love, Backstreet Boys, Justin Bieber, all the pop culture stuff that I had picked up when I moved to Bangalore at 16. He would insist to sleep next to me every night, wake up with me, study together with me.
Less attention to me?
Oh, I will never give you less attention. You're so cute. Oh my God, this video makes me... How cute! How cute! You're so cute!
Dare you bother my aunt?
So I'm working in my sister's chamber on a Saturday and these mosquitoes won't leave me alone. Look at this child. He just comes in helping me kill, saying that he isn't gonna let a single mosquito bite me. Thank you, Ronnie. You're my superhero.
Thank you.
I love you.
Mwah.
Mwah. Kill them all, Ronnie. Kill them all. So cute. He would sit next to me while I worked remotely for Dell, and I would glance at him between all the Zoom calls just to make sure he was fine and studying correctly. Grateful, you know, grateful for this child, truly grateful for his love. And that's when I knew that I wanted to raise him. I didn't want to leave him there, not as an aunt, but maybe he had a mother, but as a father, he didn't have a dad. That's when I wanted to become his dad. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years, you see. Those months also taught me something brutal, that you come here alone in this world and you leave alone. Sometimes even your parents wouldn't be able to save you. Sometimes the people you trust will disappoint you. And you still have to find your own spine, stand tall, show up. For me, this time I wanted to do it for Ronnie and for myself. Eventually, flights reopened 3 months later. I was on the very first flight out of Guwahati. I just had to leave and run. My dog Dove was waiting for me in Bangalore. We were detached because of the lockdown. My colleague was taking care of him actually in my absence, but I missed him like crazy. And just 1 week after returning to Bangalore, guess what happened? I met him. Who? My husband, Gautam Agarwal. But that, my friends, is a story for the next episode. Thank you so very much for tuning in on another story of my life. I know sometimes it's too raw, but the reason I keep it that way is because the more I hide, the more I disappoint myself and not help any one of you. These stories are truly for every small town girl, if not for the city ones, who has had circumstances that seemed like it was the end of the world, who are born into a world with absolutely no means. Just know that you have to keep going, because if you do, the universe keeps going with you. With a lot of love, my dear ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on another episode. Thank you once again. I love you. Keep pouring in that love. And if you dislike me or find me cringe, find someone else. Don't break your head or mine. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Tell me in the comments if you have any stories to share, because I'm all yours. Love, love, love. Bye, you guys.